Today I'm going to show you how I got my floor from this to this. As I'm showing you the process, I want you to think about if this is the best option for you. I'm really happy with how it came out and I'm glad I did it, but it was a lot of work to get here. All of this is reclaimed wood from pallets, about double what you see here. It was surprisingly hard to find free pallets anywhere, but I did eventually find some. You may have more luck buying them, but it is worth it looking around if you can get them for free. To remove the boards from the pallets and maximize the length of wood I had available to use, I used a reciprocating saw with a blade meant for nail-embedded wood, and I basically just sawed through the nails. I did utilize a pry bar plenty of times as well, but it didn't work great most of the time. For an easier job, and if you really only need shorter pieces of wood, you can easily just cut through the top of the pallet and leave behind the pieces that are actually nailed to the pallet. So that's an option too. Once I had my selection of wood, I went through and I dug out all of the nails. It was really painstaking, and I'm so thankful for the LuLu community to have gotten some help doing this. I never did really find a best practice for this. Sometimes I pulled with the claw of the hammer, sometimes I punched through the back, and here you can see that I just unscrewed a screw head instead of having to punch out a nail. So it really varied. And of course, if you like the look, it's also perfectly acceptable to just leave the nails in the wood and fill over top of them. Once that was done, I took to sanding all the tops of all of my boards for the first time. This was just to get a better look at my wood grain, see what quality of wood I had to use for the floor, and also just prep them for the epoxy. I wanted to keep the nail holes and knots all intact, as I think it really provides character to the wood and to the floor. The first thing you'll need to do if you're planning on filling like this is place masking tape on the underside of the holes you're filling. Also be aware that there can be many cracks you can't see inside the wood, so you'll likely need to go through the process of filling multiple times. I also used a lot more epoxy and spent a lot more time doing this than I originally expected. I used the Flag Medium Formula epoxy resin from Moss Epoxies. It came with everything I needed and was super easy to use and pour. This is a 2-to-1, as you can see on the bottles. Other resins may have different ratios and cure times, so make sure to read the instructions closely. For each hole, I filled all the way to the top. Then, once I made it through all the ones that I was working on, I would go back through all of them again and top them off. Then I would let them dry, and I would do that over again until they were just a little higher than the surface of the wood. Once all of the resin was cured, I removed the tape and I was ready for the next step. I couldn't help but think that the knots looked so pretty after they were filled. You can also see on the crack above this knot where I overfilled the resin. That's perfectly okay in this application. I'll just sand this off, even with the wood in the next step. So after that comes sanding. I resanded all the boards again to sand down the excess resin. Then, using a brush, I wiped up as much excess dust from the surface of the wood as I could. Then I took some mineral oil and wiped each of the boards down, prep the wood for staining, really get all of that dust off. After sanding's done, it was time to stain, and that is where I'm going to end for today's video. Next video, we will actually take a look at the staining process. So if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like and follow. Give me a subscribe down there, and on all my socials you can find me at a bus named Lulu. Thanks so much for watching.